We got an absolute wild show to dive into today, but before we do so, I do want to say thank you to all the real ones who have hit that subscribe button over the last couple of weeks. We just crossed over 65,000 subscribers, so shout out to all of you guys. If you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button today, and let's dive into today's show. All right, what's going on, everybody? You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and we have a loaded show to dive into today. And we're going to be discussing what happened with Carson Wentz, because Carson Wentz yesterday was officially ruled out for the remainder of the season. This coming in from Tom Pelissero, saying Carson Wentz will undergo surgery on his left shoulder and miss the rest of the 2025 season. And he also added Wentz gutted it out as long as he could, but he was in severe pain Thursday night in LA, and now will get the shoulder fixed. And then also Ian Rappaport added this, details on Carson Wentz. In the first half of the London game back in Week 5 against the Cleveland Browns, Wentz suffered a dislocation that tore his labrum and fractured the socket. He gutted out 2.5 more games for the Vikings with a big stabilizing brace with J.J. McCarthy dealing with that high ankle, and he recovered. Now, I have seen people completely freaking out over this. Oh, KOC, he got Carson Wentz hurt. KOC killed Kevin O'Connell, and yes, that may be true to some extent, but also Carson Wentz wanted to go out there and play. But I do think also this is a bad look for Kevin O'Connell. Yes, I also believe people are overreacting to this, but you can also nail it on the head. This is a terrible look for KOC. I have no idea why he decided to not go the Max Brosmer in that Thursday night game. I thought he should have started that game because we obviously knew Wentz was beat up. But even heading into that fourth quarter when the Vikings were down 34-10 and Wentz was getting his butt handed to him, why didn't you go to Max Brosmer? Instead, you left Wentz out there like a sacrificial lamb to just kind of take the beating to protect those two young quarterbacks. So I got a lot more thoughts on this. But let me ask you guys this. Is KOC to blame for this? I think 100%. A lot of other Vikings media members are protecting this guy like none other right now, and we'll dive into that here in a second. But you guys let me know. Is KOC to blame for this? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down below. All right, so by no means on today's show, I'm not trying to call anybody out. I just have different thoughts than I think of a lot of other Vikings media members here. And Kevin Seifert tweeted this out yesterday. He also had a link to an article where we went more in depth, and we'll dive into some quotes there. But Seifert tweeting this out saying, let's be clear about what happened. Carson Wentz sacrificed himself to protect two quarterbacks the Vikings valued more in the long term. It went on for as long as Wentz could manage it. Now it's time to find out if J.J. McCarthy or even Max Brosmer can play. He sacrificed himself? I mean, what is it? This is like a modern-day gladiator situation. I don't know if he was putting that word in there to kind of get clicks. I mean, I know better than anybody about, getting clicks and, manipulating the headline, but he sacrificed himself? What are we doing here? And also, he sacrificed himself to protect J.J. McCarthy. I can understand that because you want J.J. to be 110% fully healthy. But why did Carson Wentz need to protect Max Brosmer? Why did he need to sacrifice himself and put his body on the line to protect Brosmer? That makes zero sense to me. Because clearly, Brosmer, 110% healthy. I understand it's a short week. You're playing a good Chargers team. But why did Wentz just need to go out there, be the sacrificial lamb? I don't understand that whatsoever. Also, Ben Lieber, former Vikings linebacker, tweeting this out, saying regarding the Wentz injury, players are always playing through injury, and we accept it's a part of the job. Sometimes the worse injury, the greater the badge of honor from teammates, which is true. He also said this, zero chance Wentz was forced to play. I'm confident he knew the full extent of his injury, and he chose to play. No shenanigans here. I completely agree with what Lieber is saying to a certain extent. But also, what are you doing obviously not forcing Carson Wentz to go out there, but sometimes as a coach, as a training staff, you have to protect the players from themselves. Because if you guys were an athlete any time during your life, or if you have any, itch of competitive nature in your DNA, even if you're banged up, even if you're not feeling good, you want to be out there, one for yourself, but also for your teammates. So obviously Carson Wentz, putting on the Superman cape, kind of going modern-day gladiator. I have all types of respect for Wentz for doing that, but it's also on the training staff and Kevin O'Connell to protect the players from themselves, because even if guys have a broken ankle, sometimes they still want to go out there. Sometimes they still want to play. Tony Romo is playing through broken ribs. Sometimes the coaching staff and the training staff have to be held accountable to protect the players from themselves. And also, why is the media protecting Kevin O'Connell. Like, I'm not saying Kevin O'Connell is fully in the wrong and this is like completely on him, but at least a little bit of it is on him. And it's like right after Wentz, which I thought was a little fishy here. And this is why I don't know if Kevin O'Connell's got the best damn PR team in the whole National Football League. But why are certain media members right after KOC or right after the Vikings announced Wentz is going to be out for the season? It was just a full-fledged attack on Twitter. ESPN, all these articles are coming out where it's saying this is not on Kevin O'Connell. Wentz wanted to play. You can't blame the head coach. And even just like the on-the-field stuff with Kevin O'Connell, like nobody wants to call him out. Like everybody thinks this guy is just a perfect head coach, and it's starting to drive me a little crazy. Where like, especially the guys who are in that media room, have some stones to ask a tough question. Have some stones to call this guy out. Because also, like what I said at the top of the show, why didn't you go to Brosmer in the fourth quarter? Like, clearly, the Vikings were not going to win that football game. That was a no-doubter. You were down 34-10. Carson Wentz was getting his ass kicked. Why not go to the UDFA? But then you throw him in there with less than 2 minutes left and you just run the ball out? Like, what's the point of that? It made absolutely zero sense to me. And also, KOC throwing Wentz out there with a torn labrum. I understand it's not on his throwing shoulder. He just kicked the tires on the Chargers game. Like that, I mean, we can just call it like it is. Like, even though I'm not trying to lose a football game, but you're not trying your best to win it. Like, clearly, Carson Wentz was not near 100%. He probably wasn't even near 60% healthy, and you just decided to kick the tires on the Chargers game. And also, Kevin O'Connell, before that, said this. He said, Carson's a veteran player. He understands some of our circumstances Thursday night, and he also added, I think it's very difficult to ask Brosmer to go in there for his first performance and have to be weathering it a little bit for the group. What are we doing? Max Brosmer is your backup quarterback. If your starting quarterback can't go, you have to throw in the backup quarterback. I don't care if it's a day after a game. Like the Vikings had a Tuesday, Wednesday game. It does not matter. Like, what are we doing? Why did we not go to Brosmer? It is truly mind-boggling. But I think I have the answer to that. And we'll discuss that here in a second. But before we do so, let's show Carson Wentz some love down below in the comments section. Type those 11s because, even though I've been hypercritical of his play on the field. I respect, his toughness and his stones. I obviously understand a lot of players, play through injuries. But if you guys could show Carson Wentz some love, type those 11s down below in the comments section. All right, now we're diving more around this just ludicrous situation around the Minnesota Vikings and why I think this is going to even start snowballing. I think it's just like the first chapter of this situation. But today's episode is brought to you guys by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better on Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Now, Prize Picks has a new feature called Stacks, meaning you can pick up to the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. If you guys want to pick more on J.J. McCarthy's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns, now you can't pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. You guys can also follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app, copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, celebrity, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit that follow button. Check out every lineup they create in the new Feed tab on Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in promo code CONS, and we'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CONS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, I just want to say this here. Carson Wentz, I'm sorry. I was very hypercritical of him throughout the last 5 weeks, but this guy since London was playing with a torn labrum. And at the end of the day, I'm not saying KOC, like this is all his fault. He had a tough decision to make. He was in a tough situation, but this is just a terrible look for your head coach. And I wonder if this could potentially have the Vikings, not start to turn on their head coach, but, not to start, buying into all like the coach speak word salad he has. And this is just a terrible look for him. But also Kevin Seifert in that article added this, which I thought was interesting. As long as Wentz stayed in the game, second-year quarterback J.J. McCarthy was ineligible to play. As the designated emergency third quarterback and in his 6 week of recovery from a high ankle sprain, McCarthy could play only if Wentz and number 2 quarterback Max Brosmer were ruled out by medical officials. That drives me up a wall. If you were so scared of J.J. McCarthy playing, why'd you even dress him? Why'd you even make him the emergency third quarterback? Because you're using Carson Wentz as this sacrificial lamb to just go out there, get his ass handed to him, and just get beat up through the entire game because you didn't want any chance of JJ going out there, why is he dressed? So, like, you could tell me Carson Wentz, like Kevin O'Connell, under the circumstances that we were at, he needed to stay out there. Okay, if that's true, why the hell is JJ McCarthy dressing? He should have been put on short-term IR when the ankle injury happened originally. This is just awful process and awful decision-making from the guys up top of this organization. And that's why you're 3-4 right now, because I think Kevin O'Connell, top to bottom of this organization, they have had a horrible year. But also Seifert said this, saying a person with knowledge of the Vikings thinking half joked that O'Connell left Wentz in last Thursday game because Brosmer, who had a strong training camp and preseason, might prove to be a better short-term option than McCarthy. With Wentz done for the season, now is the time to find out who, if anyone, the Vikings can move forward with that quarterback. The Vikings are an absolute mess. So you are protecting J.J. McCarthy so much that, one, you used Wentz to go out there and just put his body on the line for J.J. can't play, but also you didn't want to go to Max Brosmer because you were scared if Brosmer played well, there would be a quarterback controversy. What the hell are we doing? The point of this whole thing is to find a quarterback. I am the biggest J.J. McCarthy guy out there. He went to my freaking high school. I could care less if it's J.J. or Brosmer being the franchise quarterback. The point of the whole thing is to find that franchise quarterback. And the Vikings are a complete mess right now. It is a joke what's going on in this organization. How they have handled this J.J. McCarthy injury and this Carson Wentz situation is incredibly, incredibly concerning. And I think the Lions are going to beat the living hell out of the Vikings this Sunday. No, this team is in complete free fall right now. I mean, clearly, this team just has a lot of drama going around, the team. And I just think the Lions, they're a well buttoned up team. They're one of the best teams in the league. The Vikings are going to head into Detroit. The Lions coming off the bye. I originally predicted the game is going to be 42-17. I think the Lions could potentially beat these guys 52-3. I think it's going to get that ugly this Sunday because the Vikings, they're a complete joke. They're a mess. This team top to bottom, I mean, from where we were heading into that Week 18 in Detroit last year, I mean, that was in January. I mean, we haven't been a full year removed from that to where we are now. I have never seen a team go from, nearing a number one seed in their conference, 2 home games away from the Super Bowl, to where we are right now. You made a bonehead decision letting Sam Darnold walk. You made another bonehead decision, at least not giving Daniel Jones more money, and now you're stuck with one of the murkiest quarterback situations in the entire NFL. It's just sad. Like, I'm sad. I'm pissed off, and I'm also pissed off that people are just, continuing to just protect KOC. Like, it's okay to call the freaking guy out, man. Like, he's not perfect. He clearly made a mistake. Own it. Like, that's your job in the media, is to ask the tough questions and not just protect this guy with all costs. It makes no sense to me. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, we appreciate you. Just give me a skull down below in the comment section. We'll get on out of here. Let's go Vikes.